and welcome to No Story Stagnates with me, Ernie Boxall. And I know I say this every time, but it is a real pleasure today to introduce Steve Ramona from America. And just briefly, I think Steve may agree with this, but the first time we spoke or saw each other, there was a bit of a business connection. I'll say no more than that. So, Steve, welcome. And would you like to tell everyone who you are, where you are, and what you're doing at the moment?
Thank you, Ernie. I appreciate the time, and I'm real glad we connected. You know, I'm Steve Ramona. I'm 60 years old, born and raised in Northern California. I have a passion for entrepreneurship and a passion for helping people. It's something, the Bible tells us to serve as much as you can, and that's what I lead my life with as much as I can when life lets me do that. Now I've worked with a partner in a great company called Infone, and we just do that. We just help serve. I'm about service, and our tool platform does that and much more.
I can agree with that. Steve has allowed me to have a look over the Infone, and it's a concept I've not seen before. And I think, as Steve will probably tell us, it encapsulates everything you need to go to a network meeting or to initiate contacts through all the social medias and to store the information all in one place. So we may come on to that later. But Steve, the question I ask all of my guests, do you know how your mother and father met for the first time?
It's a good question. I didn't know, and I did a little bit of research because you inspired me.
Yeah.
They met at a restaurant in Northern California, in San Jose, the city where I was born. And their love life, their romanticism, their whole scenario started there, and moved on to. They happened to have a lucky me come aboard with 4 other siblings. Right. To build a family, so with a family of 5, 7 with the parents, and it didn't start off right away. It kind of had to grow, but most relationships do that. So that's how they met.
Wonderful. So you know how your story started now from before you were born. Right. Do you have children, Steve?
I do not.
No. Okay, that's the second question. So from the year 1-year-old to 10-year-old, Steve, is there a story which you remember, which you could say now made a real difference to those first 10 years?
I do, and it's a story. I remember my family driving old Montego, so I'd have been, 70s, early 70s, 10 years old. Was just got out of school. Mom's picked us up, and I had done a project. I was probably less than 10, or maybe I was between 7 and 8. Yeah. But I had drawn a picture of a whale, and I had to describe the whale, and I put on top, look at his sprout. Yeah. Not spout.
Right.
Well, it was interesting because my siblings all laughed at me. Oh, my sibling, or youngest, but my older sibling especially.
Yeah.
Oh, Mom's like, oh, that's funny. Everybody laughed and made a joke of it. But as you can tell, it impacted me in a negative way, that I was not smart.
Right.
Or there was a problem with me. So that's carried forward, because my mom has brought that up every few years. And we made a joke of it. And I can, let it go off my shoulders, Ernie. Yes. But Ernie, it's impacted me. And it started my life as a kid, not the right way for me.
No, Steve, that really clicks with me, because I tell a story. Mine's a little bit older. When I'm 15, I have just passed an exam to go into an engineering firm. And within a year, I'm realizing that it's not for me. So I go home and I say to my parents, I want to pack up the engineering and go back to college. And what they said was, what do you want to do that for? You won't make a go of it. Now, what they meant was that a job in the factory then was a job for life, or so they thought. So they were saying, look, this is a job for life. You go back to college, you're not going to know what you're going to do. And for 3 years, that was how it went. What you're going to do that for, you won't make. And like you, even now, if I'm facing a new challenge, there is a little voice on the shoulder saying, are you sure you'll make a go of this? So I think what we both say to all parents is be careful what you say to your children. So thanks for that, Steve. That's really, that makes an impact.
And I haven't talked about that a lot, now if you want me to add to, but I haven't talked about it a lot, and it's interesting for me to tell you because my mind is racing. And one thing that's the positive of it, because I believe in yin and yang.
Absolutely.
I think that's why we connect so well. Why I love you as a friend is it turned me to sports, and that's what I was good at. And I realized I'm an academic, and that's okay, Steve.
Yeah.
Your brother was a top-notch student. My other brother was below me was a top-notch student, but I was a top-notch athlete.
Right.
So I found my place, like when you just told your story, that's what came to my head. So it really became a positive because now I grew a network of peers and friends. And
yes.
as we know, success changes negative to positive. So
Steve. Boom. When I was around about 8 or 9, I weighed 8 stone. I was quite a chubby kid. But from the age of 5 or 6, my father was a sportsman, a boxer and a footballer. At the age of 5 and 6, I was playing with 7 and 8-year-olds at football. And when I was 8, my dad took me into the gym to box. And that has been my life, sport, really. Right from that was the one thing, as you say, that was the one thing I could do. Even as a fat kid, I'd got skills at football and I could run. And at boxing, my dad taught me I could box, I could take a punch. I haven't got a big punch, but I could give a lot. And so there again, same stories. So if we can move on, Steve, 11 to 20. There may be a couple of stories there.
11 to 20. Well, high school was tough. Because in the beginning, my mom dressed me completely different than all their kids.
Right.
My high school friends, I call them alumni, still tease me today. It's not a negative, but it made me stand out. I'd wear, fully dressed, dress shirts, and everybody else was wearing Levi's and, just casual. And I was fully dressed. My mom thought because we were going to a private school, they were spending a lot of money.
Right.
That was the mindset for my mom. I was the second sibling to do it.
Okay.
And I remember walking, sitting in the cafeteria, and like everybody looked so different.
Yeah.
But to turn that into a positive, it drew people to me. What is this guy about that he's dressing this way? And when I told all of them that my mom told me to dress this way, they started laughing.
Yeah.
And not at me, at my mom for thinking that's how you had to dress.
Right.
The opposite effect of the words they used when I was 8 or 10.
Yes.
It was she indirectly, unintentionally gave me a place to meet people, a stage.
Yes. In
a sense. And of course, I started changing the road, changing. Mom, I can't do this. Stop buying this. And that changed, and I led to, a lot of friends that I'm friends with today.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. That's it. So, what would you have said if somebody said to you, Steve, what's the lesson you learned from that? Is there a lesson you can think of that sort of brought into you?
Absolutely, Ernie. That if you feel that you're different, doesn't mean people aren't going to like you, especially in these days.
Yeah.
That was in the late 70s. I graduated high school in 79, which was a much different time.
Yes.
But it carries over. The good people, the spiritual people, people of faith, people that care about people are going to not care who you are,
right,
how you dress, if you're a little bit different, because we're all a little bit different.
Right.
And it just gave me so much hope, because you're all nervous walking your first day of freshman high school. Doesn't matter if UK, America, Canada, doesn't matter.
That's right. Yeah.
And it'll happen 1,000 years from now. It's just a new environment.
Yes.
So it really taught me to be different and comfortable, and it's helped me in my public speaking because
yeah,
I don't look like anybody else. I mean, I won't wear a $10,000 dollar suit to meet people. I'm about this.
That's right.
This.
Absolute.
And so that's what I've learned.
So a question that comes from that, Steve, that's just come up to me is, how did you approach your first school and then high school? Did you go well there, or was there problems?
So my schooling was, I was fantastic. Again, leading into sports, because I was sports, that was the other connection. I was dressed different, but when we sat down, I'm going out for football, I'm going out for basketball, I'm going out for baseball. Oh, you're a sports guy. Oh, you're an athlete. Oh, great. So then the athlete, and that happens in schools.
Absolutely.
Athletes, academia, arts, we all kind of go in our little cliques. So it was a great, because I was a good athlete. I was great with my kids, and I was coming in, and the school knew. That helped a lot too. So I had a lot of friends.
Right. And the story it reminds me of, we had a science teacher who he gave us a lot of ammunition to take the mickey out of him. And then one day in the playground, we were playing football, and somebody kicked the ball, and it came towards him. And he controlled it on his chest, took it on his thigh, and kicked it back to us. And from that day onwards, he was God. We listened to him in science because he was good at football. And, it was a complete change of attitude when he showed us he could play football, which, as you say, very often, that is something that attracts people to people, isn't it? Or repels people. I've got a friend in America who was a beautiful looking girl who would never go out with the top jock. So sometimes it repels, but most of the time, I think it attracts.
Absolutely.
What would you say you learned from? What lessons did you learn from being a good sportsman?
Well, that's great, because that's what I was going to add to. When I was, in the 11, 12 years, I played football, was baseball.
Yeah.
But I was all-star baseball player. Football was the top player. It learned leadership in a sense that everybody looked to me like, Steve, you're the guy that's going to help us win these games. All-star, but I also had a temper.
Right.
And it taught me a lesson. I made an all-star team, and I struck out, and I threw the bat. And the coach sat me down, never played me again.
Wow.
You don't do that in our team. And I was disappointed. My parents were disappointed. But it learned my lesson. I learned, and much better even today, the last 10 years, is, that's just not an emotion that you want to do. Do that in private. Don't do it in public, because it will affect you. In this case, it was just playing games at the time. That was my $1 million thing, was I want to play all-star game. I want to be out there. I don't want to sit on the bench.
No.
The second story, so that's, of course, I love doing this because it makes you think. The other story was Pop Warner football, which is about 14, 15, star running back, me and this other guy. We're in the playoffs, big, huge crowd, kind of like a movie scenario.
Yes.
And I get the ball, and if I was a running back, so I got the ball, I'm running up, I've got a wide open hole to win the game, and I fumbled. Guy reached out, punched the ball, and I fumbled. I was devastated.
Yeah.
Devastated. My coach put his arm around me, goes, anybody could have done that. You just were in that position, and it's just a football game.
Yes.
You're going to have these failures in life. It's not what happens today. It's how you bounce back.
Absolutely. There you go. There you go, people. So, Steve, 21 to 30, story and the lesson.
The first story is when I turned 21, I got drunker than a skunk and threw up. And oh my God, shots of tequila. I will never forget that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were in the 21.
Yeah.
And drinking was never something. I mean, I've never done drugs, and nothing against people, but and this is back to athlete, that story. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to play pro football or pro baseball.
Yes.
My uncle played pro football for the New York Giants, so it was my goal.
Wow.
My cousins played top-notch football. My other cousin was a fill-in for the 49ers. So I had this stories
Yes.
of people I looked up to. So when I got drunk, got sick, it changed me. I mean, I still did. I still drank for a while. But to this day, I mean, I never enjoyed drinking.
No.
No, don't understand. And this is no critique there, but in my mind, I don't want to wake up the next morning and feel like a flub and lay in bed till 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Especially now, of course, in adult age. That's one story that I'll never forget.
Very true.
And I think another story that sits with me, we owned health clubs for many years.
Right. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we were from 78 to 2000, me and my family owned health clubs.
Wow.
I was operations manager, got really close to my cousin. We are today
Yes.
because of it. He really was my mentor, taught me everything about business and just an incredible businessman. But one story that really resonates with me, I was sitting in the office and I get a phone call. It was the FBI. And they said, "Did you know this person?" I said, "Oh yeah, I just saw her yesterday. I trained her a little bit." And they said, "Well, she's been killed.
Oh, yeah.
She was murdered." And I took a deep breath, and I was probably 25 to 30, around that age. And it really took me because I've never had that experience. And so they came down and interviewed me, talked to me, just finding out the story. And then they talked to my cousin, and then we talked. And I went home and I felt a lot of emotions, but I felt empty.
Yeah.
But I woke up the next day, and I think because of my past stories, it said, do something to help the family, but it focused me on helping others.
Right.
Because you never know when their last day would be.
Absolute. Yes. Yeah.
It's extremely sad. And then, the story ended, I helped the family. We did, I think we finally found the guy, and, we did court and all that. But, that was, because I'm an emotional guy. I'm an athlete and all that, but I'm emotional. My girlfriend loves me so much, which is good. But I think the stories, and you're bringing out of me, is we need to learn something.
Yes.
You can go two ways. I could have gone deep down in the dark hole, like, this is the worst thing that happened. How can I recover? Or
absolute.
What can I do to change?
Yeah. And again, the next question that's coming to my mind, Steve, is as you own the health gym, the health studio, the gym, how would you have, do you know, or have you got any idea how you would have reacted to having to close the gym down because of a virus?
It would have been devastating because, we were 20, especially was 20 years in, because it was devastating and hard to sell the business.
Right.
Me and my cousin had a conversation and said, "Hey, we got this opportunity." And, we discussed it, and we just, working Christmases, it's a lot of work.
Yes.
But there's a lot of joy. I've met, probably 50,000 people over 20 years, some I'm still connected with. So that was the joy of it. But because the devastating part of that question, and I see it with other gyms, is all the members.
Right.
How it's affecting them.
Yes.
We would have recovered. I would have recovered. It's more about them than me.
Yes.
And it's happened to my girlfriend, who's been in aerobics for 30 years.
Right.
Well, COVID shut her down, and she had no money. I mean, no income coming in. She was she was struggling, and that's how, we were working her out, and she's just a rock star to get through that. Yeah. But like her and a lot of people, they learned to pivot. So she got a full-time job at a grocery store in case this ever happened again. That's the thing that would devastate me or bother me about members. Yes. Is how they, in the sense of their fitness, not their job.
Well, absolutely. Yes.
How are we going to lose?
Mindset. Yeah. Yeah. Now, I see it so often over here. Now we've got the Facebook Lives and the TikTok. there are an awful lot of particularly women who have gone on and talked about not being able to get to the gym and how devastating that's been for them. And now over here, they're talking about, we've just opened up. So it's like all their Christmases have come, and they're in the gym every day now because they're still working from home, basically.
Yeah. The flip side of that here, and it might be different in the UK than here, but it's the fitness industry is it's hard to get people to stay consistent.
Yes.
And you pull them away for 3 months, 5 months, 6 months. Now me, I've been fitness all my life, so I built a fitness, got a treadmill in my house, which I could do. Not everybody could do that, but there's ways, and I put resistance bands and stuff.
Yes.
But that's the fear: is are they going to go back in 6 months?
Yeah.
So, and if COVID's part of the problem, because of COVID, do I go back? Do I wear a mask? I haven't done it. My life has changed. How do I? I tell everybody a great story. I tell people. They talk about your schedule.
Yeah.
You need, if you're having a problem working out, it has to be part of your schedule. Meet with Ernie at 7, my time.
Oh, yeah.
8 a.m. I'm going to work out. I'm going to meet Joe Smith at 11. And then, you got to put
absolutely. You make it part of your day. I often said to people, the number of people who drop out because they haven't scheduled it, they get on the way home, they're thinking, I'll go to the gym. They get in, they take all the work clothes off and they have a cup of tea. And then the phone rings and they take the phone and they have another cup of tea. And by the time they've had a sit down, it's 8 o'clock. No point going to the gym now. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the best story in the world. I hear it all the time in the gym industry. I'll do it. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. I won't do it today. And I do it. We all do it. Yeah. I'll eat bad today. Tomorrow I'll start. I'll work harder tomorrow. Today I'm going to take a break. I mean, it falls in every part of our life.
Yes.
Do it tomorrow. And I just watched the TV show that's interesting. It's a comedy, but they brought into someday. Everybody talks about someday.
Yes.
I don't want any some days. I want today.
Yeah.
So it's funny you tell that story, Ernie, because I just heard it last night. Yeah. You take that any way you want as a person, whatever that may be. But just like I told the story about the gym and that lady we lost. Yeah. Some days you can't rely on them.
And again, the story I tell, Steve, is that I moved into a new city when my relationship broke up. And I went shopping for the first time at a shopping centre. And when I came out, I came to an island, a traffic island, and I couldn't remember whether to turn right or left to get home. I turned left. I should have turned right. But the left turn took me past a university advertising Tai Chi. I thought, I'll have a go at that. And then 2 years later, we were doing the health and ecology show. We demonstrated the Tai Chi, and then I saw people sitting on a chair, and people had their hands on their shoulders doing nothing. I sat down, a man put his hands on my shoulders, and I went to sleep. When I woke up, my shoulders were down here. I got off the chair, and it was like I was walking above air. I asked about it, and that was shiatsu. 3.5 years later, I qualified as a shiatsu practitioner, and they were the jobs, the 2 jobs I did all the way up until about 4 years ago. Now, if I'd have turned right at that island, I maybe wouldn't be here now.
Interesting.
It was as silly as that. One wrong turn.
Yes, and that's a great story. That's a great story. I think upstairs, the man upstairs, he's directing our life, and in this case, he says, "Ernie, you're going to go left this time."
Yeah. So 30 to 40. What sort of period in your life would we be talking about now, Steve?
Really tied into the fitness industry with our health
Yeah.
club. We were expanding, taking on new roles. The thing that the industry taught me was I worked at the front desk of an 18, 19-year-old.
Yes.
Because out of high school, my cousin, hey, come work for me for a couple of years, for a year, so you find out where you're going to go, type of thing. And I lasted 20 years.
Right.
And the same type of story, just how we hear that all the time. But what I learned was talking to older people.
Yes.
They would come in and go, you'd walk in and go, hey, Ernie, how you doing? How's your morning? Oh, it's been great,
Yeah.
And I started getting interactions with people.
Right.
I'd walk around and say hello, and I'd get, hey, read this book about saving money. You're 18, 19.
Yeah.
All these great tips, but I was able to comfortably talk to older people.
Right. Yeah.
So at 30 or 40, I became the other side now. We've got staff coming in.
Yeah.
So I felt the same thing. Be comfortable with me. Just because I'm 30 or 40,
Yes.
and you're 21,
Yeah.
and maybe I can help you. Some didn't listen, which is
right. Yeah.
but
cool.
some did. And I'm really good friends with the guy that worked with me. We may try to do some, business together, getting the fitness string again. We're still talking about it.
Yeah.
But we're friends today. He worked for me, for him and his wife, for 3 or 4 years, and he to this day thanks me and thanks my cousin. And
Yes.
so I took my lessons as an 18-year-old, and in the 30, 40, I was
Brilliant.
able to set, help others, and that's just puts a smile on my face.
What was the name of the gym, Steve?
Royal Courts Club Fitness.
Royal Courts Club Fitness.
And then we opened a second gym called Ronnie Lott's Club Fitness, which Ronnie Lott was a big 49er fan. So he connected with my cousin, and he wanted to get into the industry, and so we built a club with his name around it.
That's
so
an interesting.
lot of fun.
It's an interesting name, Royal. It puts that little bit of kudos there, doesn't it? Using a little bit of the British, the royal family.
We did. I didn't even think about that. I'm going to call my cousin and ask him about that, because our logo had a crown on it.
Right. Yes.
So it really followed that path. Not the color royal, but I think it followed that. Elite's not the right word, because that's too.
Right.
We weren't that way. We were a business, which taught me another thing in my 30s and 40s that I learned, a great story. My cousin taught me customer service.
Right.
Remember, say their name when they walk in the gym. Walk around and say their name.
Yes.
Talk to people as their people, not an authority. We wrapped our whole business around customer service.
Brilliant.
And we grew tremendously. We were one of the best clubs in our area.
Yes.
And that was a big part of it, because my cousin really instilled in me and in the staff customer service. And when you work with 20 and 25-year-olds, they're learning that.
Yes.
And I'm proud to say a lot of them, if they were on this show, they would go, yeah, we learned that, we've taken it with us. So
great.
I think that's the biggest story. The sad parts was working Christmas. And I liked it because, we had to close down at some time, and Christmas is the slowest time in the fitness industry. So we closed down, do some remodels, because again, customer service. We wanted to put money back in to make it always clean and up to date, and the cutting edge technology or cutting edge equipment and all that great stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, romantically, I'm sure I met a few women.
Yeah.
And okay, you know what? Now I have a story. My girlfriend.
Yeah.
We met. She worked for me in my 30s. She was getting married, and we had a great relationship as friends. Yes. Could have gone somewhere, she says today, but she was getting married. She's got love of her life. Wherever she looked at him, and she went away. Well, we connected again about 10 years later at a funeral, unfortunately. But hey, her name's Melinda. Hey, Melinda, hey, good to see you. We didn't talk much. And then 7 years ago, I hope to get that out because she sees this, is there was a post on Facebook that my ex-girlfriend's sister had posted about this choir and how her daughter was in the choir. Well, Melinda posted her daughter was singing right with her.
Right.
And she posted, oh, Marion, thank you so much. It was a great show. And I looked and put a post, hey, Melinda, it's been 10 years since I've seen you. How are you? She goes, oh, my God, give me your number. So we talked a few times when we went out to connect.
Brilliant.
And that was
Yeah.
I think I want to say this January 2nd, 2016, because her kids were gone. So she had time to go out, and
Yeah.
we went out, and now we're, I'll probably say it on this show, and nobody knows. Not a lot of people know she's probably gonna get married next year. She's the love of my life. Yeah, she's
Wonderful.
I've been looking for a mate, a person. I don't like a mate, but
Yes.
I know she's gonna take care of me. And I'm gonna take care of her.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So,
Brilliant.
and she's a great person, and people love her. So
Yeah.
That's kind of that. That's a big 30 to 40 story, because it changed my life in such a positive way. So,
and can you put into words how it changed?
I was single, I dated, but sometimes it's hard not having kids.
Yeah.
Because people look at you.
Yeah.
And it goes with the drinking too. It's, they look at you different. Again, back to high school, you wore that crazy outfit. Again, that brings that story back to this. It's like, this is my life. God has a plan for me, and my plan is not to have children. I love her kids, and I've helped them, and I'm there for them as a friend,
Yes.
But the Lord, I think, has given me the opportunity. I'm looking at building a charity for kids. I donate and help kids charities. That's what my plan is.
Yes.
So that's the, and never being married. It's going to be 60 here next June.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been married, which is an outlier. I love the Malcolm Gladwell book, An Outlier. Right. A little different in this, but it's a positive outlier. It's not, it used to bother me because I would meet people after, especially from the health club, we had closed. And
yeah,
you're not married yet, you're 40, or you're 50, you're married. And they're very nice about it, but I could tell it's like they looked at me
right.
like, what's wrong with you? Or what's that?
Steve,
bothered me in the beginning, but to this day.
You're 70 and you've not been married. I've never been married.
Well, there you go.
And yet I have 3 wonderful daughters. It just happened. Yeah. And so, yeah, I totally agree. And also, I've got to hold my hands up. And this might be a little bit of my character, but I'm happy where I am now, the state I'm in. I know that if I'd have been married with what's happened in the world over the last 10 years, really, I wouldn't be doing this, Steve. I'd be stacking shelves in a supermarket somewhere because I didn't have a lot of skills. I had the ability to talk to people. Now, I think I would still make a success of being in the supermarket because I talk to people, but I wouldn't be as happy as I am now. That's
what I was just going to say. It's enjoyment. If it's you're an accountant and you enjoy it, that's it. It's not about what people, family wants you to do. You've got my mind really racing. I can see why you do these stories because it really brings out in your forefront of your head everything that's happened. And I'm super happy. It used to bother me when people would say that, am I different? What's wrong with me? And then I just went to the point with you can't script your life. No. And if you try to do that, you're going to really fall into, I've said before, a black hole. Yeah. And my script is written again from the man upstairs, and we just follow that and be as good of a person as you can be. And that. So, and now I embrace it, Ernie. And I think you do too. Listen to you. I embrace it. Look, I'm successful. So that guy out there at 45 years old, look at Ernie and Steve. Yeah. Completely successful. It doesn't. No. It's I can't think of the word, but life doesn't change. Yeah. So I guess really we've gone up to 50 now, haven't we, Steve? Yeah, we've talked about the last couple of years. Or have you noticed any difference over the last couple of years that will make a change to the next 10? Unbelievable question. Absolutely. One thing I've learned is not to be tied into anything that I do.
Right.
Meaning, hey, let's go to a restaurant, or that's okay, or business. Hey, no, it's not for me. I used to bother me and go, oh my God, how do I answer this? They're saying no. to whatever it is, might be business, might be personal, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The last few years, especially, I've had some mentors.
Right.
Really, and my mentor now, my business partner with Infone, have really taught me, if you're kind and cordial about it, it's okay.
Yes.
Move on.
Yeah.
Next, is the type of thing. But don't be tied emotionally into that.
No.
Because they're not tied emotionally into you.
Right.
It's a no, it's just not for them. It's not they don't like you, they don't hate you. It's none of those negativity you think about. It's just, again, life. That's what it is. And
absolutely.
So
yeah.
I've really learned to just go out and talk to people and, go for the no. One
Yes.
book that I love is Go for the No. Yes is the destination.
Yeah. Yeah.
50 started hard when I turned 50 because I wasn't married and I had all that I talked about.
Yeah.
So the late 40s started coming to the 50s, like, you're not, dude, you're in your 50s.
Right.
Going on, can't you find somebody? It's, and that's a lot in your head, not theirs.
Yes.
But that was the big thing. And the other big change in my life is, going back to Jesus Christ.
Right.
It was part of my life. I've always been a good guy. Got great relationships, but there's a missing piece there.
Yeah.
And I went through some trauma, personal trauma that my girlfriend was really worried about. I was developing skin cancer. I got 4 surgeries, which when you hear the C word, it's scary. But
yes,
anybody out there with cancer, it's much more than I had, and I know that. But it was a defining time for me to go, okay, again, that's someday.
Yes.
And to take care of myself, of course. My girlfriend, that's why I love her. She's always watching over me, which you can't live this life alone.
No.
I have, in the 50s, I learned, not that I was alone, but
no.
I mean, having you, Ernie, as a friend for 10 years, I had you for 10 years, you're the kind of guy that I could, hey, you know what, I need to call, vice versa.
Absolutely.
You need somebody, it might be one, it might be 1,000, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But you can't be alone, because especially with COVID, we've learned that.
And that's one thing people say, Steve, is that, oh, you're 70 and you're on your own. I say, no, I can get onto the computer and I say to them, look, when I get onto the computer, they're not going to say to me, where have you been? Why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? We've got to go here. I get on the computer, I talk about what we need to do, and then I do what I want to do, which sounds selfish. And that may be a little bit in there. I've never been comfortable either having to tell anyone what I want to do, but I've not been uncomfortable with people telling me, I want to go off here. Either, let's go there, or you go off and then come back.
And it's okay. I don't love you as a friend or as a girlfriend as less. It's just, this is not what I want to do right now.
At the end of the day, it's all about trust, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
Well, we're coming up to the end, Steve. And what I would say is that the reason I do this, my passion, is that when I started doing shiatsu, people would come to me, and on the first consultation, I would say to them, can you tell me what happened to you in your first 10 years? What was your first memory? Now, many of them said, I remember when I was 4, being in a pushchair in my mother's, and that's fine. That's fine. It was the one that said, well, when I was 15, and I'm thinking, 15? What happened before that? And you very often find that the whole story was that they were bullied, abused, and it's not that they've forgotten it, but they've put it so deep inside that it's blocked other stories coming in. So I say to people that the passion for me is to get the stories out so that there's room there for fresh stories. And the other thing is, Steve, you now have a book Steve Ramona's life and the lessons he's learned. We could almost just go back over this transcript, write it down, and you've got a book. And everybody knows what difference it makes when you say published author. So there is a book in there, Steve. It's your life and the lessons you've learned.
Very good.
I want to thank you. Don't rush off afterwards. Can you tell people how they can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. And it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. This has been an experience, a life-changing experience, I'm going to say right now. And anybody out there, please reach out to Ernie, work with him on this, because I'm going to tell you right now, this whole day has changed for me in such a positive way.
Great.
It's going to make me think of these stories and keep moving forward as a positive person and do the right things. And remind me when I go off the deep end, to go jump off that bridge,
yeah,
to stay on the bridge. To get a hold of me is you can click on my barcode here or QR code here. That's all my information. Or you can go to inphone.co/SR1. Again, inphone.co/SR1. It's also at the bottom of my video as well.
Yeah, that's great. And that will go up on LinkedIn and all your details will be under it, Steve. So thanks very much, Steve. As I say, don't click off. I'm going to stop the recording. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you. Absolute pleasure.